Especially when the speaker is not the better starting. Okay. Meeting number is okay. I call the 23rd meeting. Oh, sorry. Make sure this one is straight today. Thanks. I call the 23rd meeting of RCBC to order. I request all of you to stand up for a minute of silence. On a lighter note, you would have realized today's 1 minute silence was longer than every time. Welcome, please put your mobiles on the silent mode. While we await the arrival of our speaker today, let's get on with the regular proceedings. Do you have any guests apart from the Rotarians? I think not. But nice to see a sizable number of Rotarians by our own standards. And let's start with the Secretary's announcements for the day. Shant. Yeah, please escort him up to the dais, please. Welcome, welcome, sir. Please come. Welcome. Thank you. Please come.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We just we always start at 7:30, so we just started. But thank you so much for. I'm sure we were just talking that I think the cardiologist has the most busy, is the most busiest doctor. So thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for being here physically today, and all the members who are joining via Zoom. Thank you. So I'll just come to the announcements. Today we have the birthday for this week is 11 December. None other than Mr. Shabir celebrates his birthday. And these people have the distinction of also having been born on the same day. Our former President of India, Pranab Mukherjee, the wonderful cine star Dilip Kumar, the chess player Vishwanathan Anand, and the most glamorous person was born on the same day is Osho Rajneesh. So you are in really elite company from Pranab Mukherjee to Osho, so it's really cool. The wedding anniversaries, 12 December is Rotarian Sudeep and Anne Mega. And 13 December is Rotarian Suri and Anne Sundari. We wish them a very wonderful day and happy life ahead. Coming to meetings, club admin will have a business meeting. They're preponing, they're postponing their meeting. They're preponing the business meeting from Jan to December, and it'll be on December 10th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Club membership is having its meeting on Sunday, 11th December at 6:30 p.m. It's being hosted by Rotarian Appa, Durai, and Anne Hamsini at their residence. Hands are invited. That's it. Thank you.
Prashant. The next weekly meeting, I think all of you are aware, is our business meet. It's an election meet, and our incoming President Gargi will introduce her team to all of us. And I request all of you to be present. Even people sitting at home, please be present. It's an important day for the club for the year to come. It is when the young office bearer of the next year will be introduced. Among the other programs, the most important program coming up is on coming Sunday, and we are having a bowling game at Amoeba. And it's time for some fun and frolic. We keep doing all the work, but I think sometimes it's good to let our heads down and have some fun. Please join in 10:30, right? At 10:30 at Amoeba, we will have about 2 hours of bowling, followed by which we all can have a lunch anywhere in the neighborhood. I think Church Street is full of good joints. We can settle down somewhere and have lunch together. On the other important events coming up in the next 8-10 days, I think there's an ICGF on the 18th, which is a community service ICGF. This time will be held, I think, in Mandya. It will be nice if a good number of people from our club can attend the ICGF. A lot of important projects of district are generally announced and showcased there. And it's also being hosted by one of our clubs who are good associates of us in our various projects that we are doing in this year. On coming the next Saturday, I think we also have the Christmas celebration at our St. Charles Kripashray. Okay, the Kripashray, where we have about 36 kids whom we are supporting, the destitute kids, and about 4 senior citizens. These are some of the activities or events in the next 5-10 days. And now on to today's program. I think we'd like to welcome Dr. Ashok Kumar. I think I could welcome him formally earlier. And while we're talking of the focus area this month, which is disease prevention and treatment, and I already spoke to you last time about something about this. And let's have the Rotary information talk by Karthik on the focus area. Yes, Karthik, please come.
Good evening, everybody. The focus area for this month is disease prevention and treatment. And the sub area is preventing disease. So the talk goes like this. Non-communicable diseases such as cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, dementia, and cancer accounted for 7 of the world's top 10 causes of death in 2019. According to the World Health Organization, each year more than 15 million people aged 30 to 69 die prematurely. As a result of non-communicable diseases, with 85% of those premature deaths occur in low and middle income countries. Despite a global decline in the percentage of deaths due to communicable diseases, they remain a challenge primarily in low and middle income countries. Although the world is on the brink of eradicating polio, communicable diseases such as tuberculosis, HIV/AIDS, and malaria are still leading causes of death in these countries, with reports of decreasing or plateauing progress. According to the WHO, 1 billion people suffer from neglected tropical illnesses such as dengue fever, Chagas disease, sleeping sickness, and river blindness. What Rotary can take action? Help immunize against preventable diseases, end polio mission, provide training to local healthcare providers and community health workers, support health education programs that explain how diseases are spread, and promote ways to reduce the risk of transmission. Organized activities to address behavior that can be changed, such as unhealthy diet, lack of physical activity, and harmful use of substances such as tobacco and alcohol. In Rotary, we regularly conduct dental, eye and general health checkup camps in local communities, and also awareness in schools and colleges. So this is the part of work we do. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Karthik. Now let's go on to the program of the day. I'll call him afterwards in between the disturbance. Can I do the vote? Okay. Now, before I go to the speaker for the day, and I'll ask Dr. Shiv Kumar to address us. Today evening, when I was sitting and preparing the notes for today, suddenly I saw Raj Kapoor's song, which said, "Mera juta hai Japani, patloon Hindustani, sar pe laal topi, fir bhi dil Hindustani." That hit me then. That whatever I do, I have everything, but my heart will always be Hindustani. I'll eat the same paratha with ghee. I'm going to still eat all the butters. And our heart will stay. We'll have all the problems what we typical Indians with all the calories, cholesterol will possibly have. And I think it is time for us to understand that how can we take care of this heart, so that the treatment may not be a solution, but our quality of life will definitely be a solution. I think Dr. Shiv Kumar will tell us that how we can improve our quality of life, I think, Yeah. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Before. The Zoom will not get it. It's on that system. Just email it. Email it. That's all. Just give you the password. Save it, right, doctor? HO at have to sign up. See, it's not like it's even email there. It should be only that's it. System. Either incorrect or yeah, go ahead.
दर्द दिलों के कम हो जाते मैं और हम इनसे पहले मिले होते हैं. Good evening, everybody. We Rotarians are known for our big heart for community services. Hence, it is very important for us to keep our heart in very mint condition. Who better than today's guest speaker? Pleased to introduce you all to Dr. Ashok Kumar, consultant cardiologist at Spurge Hospital. With over 4,500 cardiac intervention procedures, coronary angiograms, angioplasty, pacemaker implantations, valvulotomies, and other procedures. Graduated from Madurai Medical College and Government Radiology Hospital, Madurai, Tamil Nadu in the year 1997, completed the MD General Medicine in the year 2006, and specialization in cardiology in the year 2011. In addition to treating Dil Ka Dard, he also manages heart failure and transplant. With his keen interest towards preventive cardiology, heart failure management, primary angioplasty. Let's give a round of applause to welcome Dr. Ashok Kumar. Okay.
Right? We'll start in a minute. Meanwhile, you can. Yeah. Out at home. 60 seconds. Thank you.
Spam. Yes, it's there.
You share that. Yeah.
So, good evening, one and all. Thanks for this wonderful opportunity and for the kind words by the person. Kind words of introduction. I thought I'll keep it more simple and probably more interactive rather than me speaking and you people listening. So nothing, it may sound a bit different, but nothing new. It's a old wine in new bottle. So the heading is somewhat different, but what we probably discuss should be what we come across in our day-to-day life. So vascular health, because people don't understand that what is the problem underlying various diseases we face every day. So this is next slide. Probably this question should not be asked to people, especially women. How old are you? So if you ask me, I don't know. So this next slide, I think it may not work because there may not be a link file. Good, it's there. But is it playing? Can you try to play? I don't know. The link file, yeah, wonderful. That's fine. So just to make things interesting, I have shown two images of my day-to-day bread and butter activity, that is coronary angiogram. This is on the left side, the one that is playing is one gentleman's angiogram. This is right-sided what you call as a right coronary angiogram, and you can see there is no rocket science. Anybody can easily figure out which is healthy and which is not. So one on the left side doesn't fill up well, the artery on the left side, and one on the right side is a clean artery. So I hope it's quite easy to understand for you all. So now coming to the point, how old is the artery? How old is the person on the left side and how old is the person on the right side? So the person on the left side, the artery, so that's a 7-year-old gentleman. And the same on the right side is a 70-year-old gentleman's artery. So now 70. So now we know what is the real age of the patient. So if you ask me the real age of the patient, I would probably pick the ages. One on the left side sounds like a 70-year-old, and the one on the right side seems to be a 30-year-old person's artery. So this is the importance of vascular health. So whatever we do affects the arteries in our body. So we are only as old as the arteries are. So we will be looking 30, 40, but we don't know what is our real age. So next slide. So this is a wonderful saying. We are only as old as our arteries are. We may be of any age, but we don't know. Next slide. So should I do an angiogram for assessing my vascular health? So the answer is a big no. So there is no need to, it's only to kickstart the process of presenting. I showed this interesting one, but next slide. So how are our arteries damaged? So this is the process. You might have heard about this one. This is a pathology. So the one on the top is the normal artery, and the one below is what we call technically as a block. Block is a block in the artery caused by that yellowish material, which is predominantly cholesterol plus other contents in it. So this builds up slowly, and surprising fact is that it begins at the age of 20. So the blocks do not suddenly form at the age of 50, 60. So this process begins as fatty streaks at the age of less than 20, and slowly it builds up. In people who are susceptible, it is beginning to show up early nowadays. When we were still students in MBBS in medical school, in the 90s, when somebody gets a heart attack at less than 40, we used to go and eagerly see what happened wrong in that day. Now almost 1/3 of my patients are less than 40 years. So something we are running fast to catch something, and in the process catching this premature vascular disease and getting bold. So this is the one. So the middle one is a block in the artery, and on top of it, if you see some dark clots getting formed, this causes a complete block and probably a vascular event, maybe a heart attack, maybe if it happens in the brain, it causes a stroke. But this is the basic underlying problem, atherosclerosis. So again, the next slide. So the artery on the left side is a clean artery, left top. The left lower down is the cholesterol-laden artery. If there is a small tear happening in the artery, in the right top one, the cut section, so this incites a thrombotic event, and that ultimately results in the artery getting blocked by the red thrombus, which is seen on the right lower side. So this causes a complete occlusion and a vascular event. So on the right side, there is an image where the normal artery is shown, and there is a mild block developing and a severe block. You can see some white areas, which is calcium, and yellowish areas, which is full of fat, and some fibrous tissue. There is a thick cap on the top of it, on the other side of it. And when this gives way, we develop vascular events in the form of, could be a heart attack or a stroke, or any peripheral vascular disease. Next slide. So these are the issues. Vasculature is the most important things. So most of the catastrophes are vascular in nature. You see, most of the deaths happen due to some vascular event. Even a road traffic accident, patients die due to a vascular injury and bleed, or it happens in the brain and vascular bleed. So arteries and veins are the most important structures in the body, most dangerous and most hidden structures. Insult to which causes heart attack, stroke, kidney failure, peripheral vascular disease, and visual loss. So people think that diabetes causes visual loss. It affects the eyes directly, but no, it affects the small arteries supplying the retina. Retina is the receptor of the visual pathway, so that the blood vessels, small tiny blood vessels in the retina gets affected, and patients develop visual loss in diabetes or hypertension. Similarly, in kidney disease also, the kidneys don't directly get affected or shrunken. It is the glomerular arteries, the small tiny arteries, they get affected, and ultimately the patient develops a renal failure leading dialysis maybe. Yeah. So next slide. What are the risk factors for developing vascular disease? So how does our vasculature get affected? This is classified into modifiable and non-modifiable. Some of them are in our hands, some of them are not in our hands. Next slide. So genetic factors are not in our hands. They are the non-modifiable risk factors. The risk factors that are probably which we have some control is definitely smoking, obesity, sedentary life, unhealthy diet, hypertension, high cholesterol levels, diabetes, and other factors like stress. So these are the modifiable risk factors, and genetic factors to play a huge role. Next slide. So unfortunately, most of the problems are genetic, and we have seen that problems running in families. Father having a heart problem at 15, son having a problem at 14. So this is majorly a genetic disease with an environmental insult to it. So why the father developed at the age of 50? Because even though he had a strong family, strong genetic predisposition, his lifestyle was better. So he could prolong till 50. With this fast life, so the son develops it at the age of 14. So genetic predisposition, unfortunately, most of the genetic loci are still hidden, and genes play a huge role in vascular disease. So this is not in our control, but when you are having a predisposition, you should be more careful than others. Next slide. So we'll see on by one, smoking. Some people commit suicide by drowning, we know, and many by smoking. So there is nothing more to say from smoking perspective. Smoking is such a major risk factor, and smoking is easily, probably for a person who doesn't smoke, it's probably the easiest thing to avoid, and to give an advice, it is easy. Definitely to come out of it is difficult, but it is the most rewarding thing, I would say, to my patient, especially who had a vascular event before. So the major cause of cardiovascular death is smoking. Even low consumption of harmful is harmful. So people say that I hardly smoke, or I hardly 1 or 2 cigarettes once in a while. That is also dangerous. You must be knowing that even secondary smoking is dangerous. If you smoke, it affects your children and your family also. So even passive smoking is very dangerous. It produces insulin resistance and inflammation, and it combines synergistically with other risk factors. If you are diabetic and smoking, that is like having a piece of cotton with a lit matchstick nearby. So dangerous is smoking in combination with other risk factors. So smoke, again, the same thing, causes heart attacks. It can cause sudden cardiac death, heart failure, strokes. So it can cause ballooning of the arteries in the abdomen, can rupture, can cause events acutely. It's one of the most important causes of peripheral vascular disease. Next slide. So one of my professors, smoker, he was not found anywhere, and finally found in his own restroom. He didn't get up at all after that. So it can cause sudden cardiac death. Smokers, he was found with cigar in his hand. So smoking can cause all these vascular events. Yeah. So what is the advantage of smoking cessation? This we should know. These are the other medications. You can see aspirin there, you can see all class of heart failure medications, statins, medicines used to reduce cholesterol. So the relative risk reduction of total mortality, total death, due to all these medications are far lower than smoking cessation. So that we should underline the importance of cessation of smoking. Because taking medicines is only part of the story, but main thing is smoking cessation. So you can get the best outcomes by just stopping nicotine. So this is the most important thing you should know. Next slide. So coming to exercise and setting is a new smoking. So this is said by WHO, not by me. So WHO, it's one of its ratings that said setting is a new smoking. So it is as good as smoking if you are sitting on a sitting job for 8 hours, 12 hours, not doing anything. So General recommendation is that exercise training for 5 days a week for at least 30 minutes of moderate intensity. Moderate intensity is nothing but walking at your own brisk pace, or vigorous exercise for 3 days a week for 20 minutes. So accumulate 150 minutes in a week. That is the recommendation. Or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise training. Walking, bicycle, running, swimming, golfing, all these things are extremely useful forms of exercise. Next slide. So coming to obesity, it's a serious chronic disease. It's an epidemic actually. And Mr. Karthik was mentioning about the chronic lifestyle diseases before I started. That was a wonderful thing. So people in the US, 25% of the children are obese. So they are facing a pandemic of obesity. So their problem is different from what we face in India. We still face infectious diseases. India is a mix-up of everything. India has very diseases of the very, very elite rich people, as well as we have the poorest of the poor diseases, like still infectious diseases causing deaths. So if you go to places in Bihar, still they are in 1920s. What Karnataka or any other developed state was in 1920s, they are still there in that state. Still there, infections of the heart, rheumatic heart disease is very rampant. And if you go to certain areas of Bangalore, Mumbai, you can see obesity, childhood obesity. So India is a mixed bag. So slowly we are catching up with the US. Probably 20, 30 years we should be there. So in US now, the incidence of the heart attacks and strokes have come down because of market reduction in smoking, more health awareness among people, and now they have been eating a lot with a lot of high calorie stuff, and they are facing the pandemic of obesity now. So 25% of the American children are facing this from menace of obesity. Next slide. So this is so you know how obese you are. 25 body mass index, you must be knowing this. So put your weight in kgs and divide it by your height in meters square. So this will give you your BMI. And if you're somewhere less than 18.5, then you have to probably rethink the strategy and eat well. Normal is something between 18.5 and 24.9. 25 to 29 is called as overweight, 29.9, and more than 30 is obesity. And many people are in the range of 35 plus, so they are called morbid obesity. So they are extremely obese and they are at very high risk of developing vascular events. So try to maintain a BMI between 24, less than 25, 18.5 to 25. Next slide. So this is a J-shaped curve. The BMI is very low also, it is not good. The risk is higher. When it is between around the 20s, it is good. When it goes above, the risk of developing vascular events increases. So it's a J-shaped curve, not a straight line. So this thing I would like to stress because you should be aware of this metabolic syndrome. This has been there for almost 20 years now. But many people I've seen in my own practice come with some kind of, nowadays all the investigations are widely available. So they come with a battery of investigations, and if you see their profile will be like this, their triglycerides will be 200. So their LDL will be low. If you check the blood pressure, it will be 150/90, and sugars will be somewhere around 105. So their questions will be to whether to start medicines or not. This doctor said I should start medicine. If you see them, they'll be looking obese. So this is a very, very common thing what we see in our routine practice, and this is a proper soil for development of vascular disease in future. So if you find such a person, then probably this person has got a very high risk of developing some vascular disease. It could be a heart attack, it could be a stroke, it could be a renal disease or anything. So these people are the classical soil for fertile soil for vascular disease. So this is the criteria. Waist circumference more than 100 centimeters in male and more than 88 centimeters in female. Triglycerides more than 150 milligrams per deciliter. HDL, low HDL. HDL is a good cholesterol. Less than 40 in male and less than 15 in female. And blood pressure is more than 130 over 85, and fasting sugar more than 100. So this is very common. So if we find any of these in ourselves, yes, it should be. It's an alarm bell for us to change ourselves, our lifestyle. Next slide. So probably I was talking like this without showing the slides. This is the one. So this is the metabolic syndrome, classical criteria for metabolic syndrome. Next slide. Exercise. So when we find any of these things, we should be like more cautious and try to change our own lifestyle. Mainly the point is lifestyle modifications. So what kind of exercises and how much energy can we spend? Sleeping causes, sleeping you still lose energy, 0.9. Using computer, when you run fast, you can lose up to 15 kilocalories per minute. So these are the common energy expenditure by your body during exercise. So brisk walking causes 3.5 kilocalories per minute. Yes. So if you want to lose 1 kg by reducing energy intake, you can avoid all these stuff. A slice of cake, 3 glasses of wine, a chocolate bar. These are all, these need a lot of determination. An ice cream, pastry, saying no to a muffin or a hot dog or a cheeseburger. It's very challenging, but it's really helpful. Next slide. Yeah, food choices. These are the food choices. We can just choose what to eat and what to avoid. Cereals, eat whole grains, avoid refined rice, the polished rice, breads, biscuits. Try to say no to pastries and muffins and croissants. And vegetables, always use raw and cooked vegetables. Legumes, oil, including soya. Fruits, fresh and frozen fruits, preferably over juices. Canned fruits to be avoided. Sweets, if you're already have a sweet tooth, avoid, you can use non-caloric sweeteners like this, sugar-free aspartame. Many people ask, but honey is good. Honey is not good for your weight and your general health. So ice cream, candies should be avoided. Meat, you can still take lean meat, oily fish, like sardines and salmons are good. Poultry without skin is good. So seafoods try to avoid, like prawns and all to be avoided. Ham, stick more to sausages and bacon. Dairy, use skim milk as much as possible. Yogurts and liquids are good. Avoid cheese and cream, dilute and fatty milk. Could you prefer boiling or dealing or frying? So next slide, go to hypertension. So hypertension is the major cause of vascular disease. It's very surprising that 25% of our population, India, if you take 4 people, 1 will be hypertensive. That is a real fact, and many of them, the idea is that 80% of them to 90% of them, they do not know they are hypertensives, or they know they are hypertensives, but their control is not, is far from the necessary control. So they are untreated or undertreated hypertensives, majority of them. So what is a major vascular affection, vascular insult by hypertension? It is stroke more than anything else. People, if you see patients developing stroke, they are mostly hypertensives. Hypertension is a big risk factor for stroke than anything else. So heart attacks, it can still cause stage renal disease, requiring dialysis, blindness, and peripheral vascular disease. So next slide. This is the category. So when I started my medical school, I was told that 150/90 is a normal BP. Now they say that 121 is also high BP. So they keep lowering the bar. We don't know what they do. We don't know. Probably at the time of the problem, they will say that 100 is okay. So now the current American Heart Association recommendation is less than 120/80. So it keeps on reducing. 120 to 129, they are elevated blood pressure. And high blood pressure, stage 1, requiring treatment is 130 to 139. When somebody is consistently having 130 plus systolic blood pressure, they should be treated. And diastolic 80 to 89 is also very high according to the current recommendation. This is the latest, I think 2021 or 20 recommendation by RCBC. think the quality of the slide is not okay. So high blood pressure is something that is more than 140/90. So anything that is 140/90 is supposed to be super high and has to be definitely treated. Hypertensive crisis is always the same. It is 180 over 120. When we start 2-3 medications at the same time. So can we check your blood pressure and categorize yourself where you stand? And it is not a single time recording. Keep checking your blood pressure frequently. If one value comes 130, that is not the end of it. Keep checking once in a while, once in a week or so. Don't have to be like paranoid about checking it every day, every 1 hour or so, but check once in a week and note it down in a paper. That is the most easy way of reviewing things, reviewing records. So next slide. So this slide I would like to stress a bit. So people are really bothered about taking medications for hypertension. So should I really start medications? Yes, definitely. And there is a blood pressure more than 140/90, definitely yes, no doubt about it. But if you look into the non-pharmacological measures of managing hypertension, weight loss is a key factor. This 5 kg weight loss can give you 4 millimeters systolic and 3.6 millimeters fall in diastolic blood pressure. So weight loss alone can cause this much. If you restrict your sodium less than 6 grams per day, it can give a significant reduction. And potassium-rich foods, nothing but fruits and vegetables. DASH diet is something which you can easily Google search, and it is for you to Google search, not the disease per se. DASH diet is nothing but dietary approaches to stop hypertension. That is the expansion of DASH. So if you can just simply Google search DASH diet and then go through that, you get a lot of information. Physical activity and alcohol restriction. All these can cause, if you see, imagine if you put together alcohol restriction, physical activity and weight loss, you get more than what you get by getting treated by a medication. So that doesn't mean that you don't have to take medicine, but so this is the importance of the non-pharmacological interventions for hypertension management. So if you add on this to the medical therapy, that gives really it works wonder. So lipids, you must be knowing this: total cholesterol, triglycerides, LDL, HDL and LDL. HDL is commonly known as the good cholesterol, but those are all bad. So this is the recommendation for the next slide. Hope you can see that. So the healthy person should have total cholesterol less than 200, good HDL cholesterol of 60 and more, and bad cholesterol LDL of less than 100. So anything above that is abnormal, and LDL is more than 160, and HDL is less than 40, then it is probably you are not in the right place. So these are the levels to note down. And diabetes. So diabetes is another big topic by itself. So normal values I will mention. Next slide. So the diagnosis is dependent on the multiple values what we commonly do. So fasting sugar less than 100, HbA1c less than 5.7. This is the strict normal values recommended by WHO. If you are less than this, then you should be happy and you are okay for a piece of cake during Christmas. But if you are in this pre-diabetes, 100 to 126 or more than between 5.7 and 6.4, then probably you should be more careful. And more than 126 directly qualifies for diabetes diagnosis. And 6.5 HbA1c. HbA1c is nothing but an average of the previous 3 months sugar values. It's mentioned as percentage. Anything that is more than 6.5 tested on 2 separate occasions in 2 separate labs. If it is 6.5, then you are diabetic, no doubt about it. So the random sugar taken any time, even 1 hour after food, if it is causing 200, even if you've taken 2 pieces of gulab jamun, the body knows how to control the sugar and keep it less than 180. So it should, if it is more than 200, then definitely something is wrong. Next slide. So diabetes screening, so who to screen? Nowadays people do every 6 months once, but anyone with a body mass index of more than 25, that is you are in the overweight category, regardless of the age, better to screen for diabetes. Factors, the other factors, if you have additional risk factors, if you're diabetic, if you're hypertensive, if you're high cholesterol patient, inactive lifestyle, history of polycystic disease, close relative with diabetes, then screening. Anyone older than 35 is advised to get an initial blood sugar screening. So 35 plus, just get on screening sugar. If results are normal, they should be screened every 3 years thereafter, not every 3 months. Next slide. So women who had gestational diabetes during pregnancy are high-risk candidates and they have to be closely observed and screened every 3 years. Anyone who has been diagnosed with pre-diabetes is advised to be tested every year. So if you are in the blood sugar value fasting between 100 and 126, just keep checking every year. Next slide. So what are the symptoms of diabetes? So most often it is asymptomatic. We may see patients who are urinating often, polyuria, feeling thirsty, polydipsia, blurring vision, so tiredness, excessive fatigue, headache, irritability. These are all some non-specific symptoms of diabetes. Next. So management is education and number 2 is education. So education is the key. So I've seen people who are 15 years diabetic and they don't know what HbA1c is. So that we need to know where. So we should first educate the patient, educate them about diabetes, the disease per se, why, what is endocrine damage, and all those stuff. Follow up, how to monitor your diabetes. And then, of course, drugs for diabetes and drugs for diabetes is very, very important. Keep them on close follow-up. People go say Tadabavir and come after 2 years with HbA1c of 11. So that is our classical Indian scenario. Next. So stress is it's often blamed upon, but health is a state of complete physical, social, and mental well-being, and not the absence of disease or infirmity. This is the WHO definition. So stress is also taken into account in the definition of health by WHO. So some facts, I think. Yeah. Next slide, I think stress and heart, and just stress is very important because stress is, these are all very documented examples. Following earthquake in Los Angeles, there was a 35% increase in the non-fatal heart attack compared with the week before, and a 4-fold increase in sudden cardiac death on the day of earthquake. So this is the effect of stress on the body. And during the Iraqi missile attacks on Israel in 1991, there was doubling of the non-fatal heart attacks compared with the control period in the previous 1 year. And this was made by nearly doubling of the sudden out of hospital deaths also for the corresponding 1 month period. So during the 9/11 attacks in New York, there was a 49% increase in the patients admitted with an attack within the 15-minute radius of WTC. So all this happens because of stress in the body, in the vasculature. So there are 3 types of personalities, and we should always try to be like a type A personality, type B personality. Type A is a personality where people are very hardworking, competitive, and they are impatient, verbally aggressive, and anger-prone people. They are at risk of developing heart disease. Type B people are like easy going, come what may, will take it, that kind of people, relaxed. So try to be a type B personality. So we try to use these phrases for our patients who are admitted with heart attacks, and where we were before, and try to change yourself gradually to a type B personality, not remain as a type A personality. Type B are very anhedonic, like not interested in anything. So negative emotions. So this is also a high risk for heart problems and other vascular diseases as well. So what is stress has? Crowds, daily hassles, traffic, finance, family, perfectionism, admissions and exams. Next slide. So these are the minor stresses. The major stresses could be some illness in the family, death of a closed one, discord, divorce, so interpersonal relationships. So these are the major persistent stress factors that can play a huge role in vascular disease. So next slide. Management of stress is easy said than done, but exercise, walking, swimming, relaxation, deep breathing, pranayama, social support, laughter club, I should also add Rotary here, I think. So, religion, yoga, meditation. So, cardiac muscle relaxation, music, and of course, medications. All of them are helpful in management of stress. Next slide. So, cardiac message is know your BP. If hypertension, mostly to be a lifelong medication therapy, even if the BP gets controlled. Stop smoking, reducing does not help at all. Lower blood sugars, maintain normal between 20-21, around the lower 20s. Next. So, exercise regularly, 30 to 16 minutes, at least 5 days a week. Walking, swimming, jogging, everything is fine. Eat 4 to 5 whole fruits per day, along with lots of vegetables. So, the more colorful fruits and vegetables you eat, the more colorful your life is going to be. So, avoid trans fat. There are some calories and saturated fats. And try to focus on the relaxation techniques, whichever you want. Yoga, it could be music. Spending quality time with family. This is one very useful thing I would say. Next one. So probably I'll stop here and any questions, be happy to take. Yeah. Previously,
person has only triglyceride, everything else is normal.
Yeah, isolated hypertriglyceridemia is previously as concepts keep changing. So previously the villain was only the fat. When we were young, fat was always to blame. Now we are blaming it on fats as well as carbohydrates. Similarly, triglycerides were initially given a clean sheet, but of late there are large-scale randomized control trials showing that hypertriglyceridemia is an independent risk factor for vascular disease. And if the triglycerides are very high, like we have seen in thousands and all, they are at risk of developing pancreatic problems, pancreatitis. Very common, and it is, if you just keep the patient's blood, it turns yellow, the above portion, the red one stays below, the above one usually will be white, it turns yellow when you have a triglycerides of more than 800, 700. So it's an independent risk factor for all kinds of vascular disease, including heart attacks.
Just one, this one suggestion is yes. Stress reducing technique. Should have become a routine to reduce the stress.
Tobacco smoke, what does that cause? Like people, the pujaris doing inhaling smoke.
It's not for heart, there's no, but definitely lungs. Yeah. Okay. It could be an occupational hazard. I think it depends on what you smoke. Constantly smoking this wood and all may cause some kind of, but not like other major inhalation, like for example, silicose working in an asbestos factory. That is different, but this also has its effect, but it is not that as bad as nicotine. Nicotine is dangerous. Even all types of cigarettes, all are to be avoided.
Since you're talking of smoking, just adding on to Karthik's question, we talk about passive smoking.
Yeah.
And when we talk about passive smoking, still continues to carry that smell. So is it transferring it that in also? Is the breath get transferred?
Definitely.
That means after the, like most of us tend to go out, smoke and come back, and that means for the next 30 minutes you can smell that tobacco. So is it still transmitting the passive smoking to others in the group?
Exactly. That's what we say, that if you smoke and go home, you're giving it to your children also.
Even at that time, that's what I wanted to know.
Yes. Thanks. It contains millions of particles that get deposited, and then you continue to exhale it to some extent.
It is not just while smoking.
No. Yeah. BP at home. Yeah. The automated ones, the BP machines those are the digital ones. They are good enough. I think if you're having doubts, you can carry it with your clinic. we are still gifted to have this mercury apparatus in our clinics at least. In the Western world, they don't use mercury at all. They have condemned it and they have sent it to India. So it's discarded there. Mercury, it's very difficult to dispose. So they don't use mercury at all. They depend solely on this automated ones. Most of them are good. In India, you get all quality. So select a better quality and most of them, it is good. Once in a while, you can come to the clinic with your apparatus and cross-check it with our standard ones. Yes. Sweeteners are okay. Sweeteners contain aspartame. So it's a chemical. It's basically a chemical. It doesn't give you calorie. So it gives you taste. It's okay. It's okay to use it, but we don't know the effect on longer scale. Like if you use it for years together, it may be harmful. But aspartame is not good for children. Less than 6 years, 12 years, definitely it is to be avoided. But adults can use it. They're very fond of sweets. They can try it.
Honey is also not good.
Honey is nothing but fructose. It's not good.
But they advertise
Honey,
and green tea.
it's good for the companies. Basically, for your killing me.
I said I'm a beekeeper and you're killing me.
Yeah, see, not everybody here is talking from honey. People are there, not. Yeah, so.
So when you actually recommend suggest an angiogram, the first thing you talk about
Angiogram is a test. It is not without risk. Angiogram has got a 0.1% risk. So I don't do angiograms for people without any valid indication. Why to pull up one guy who is walking in the road and put him on that 1% risk, 0.1% risk. Even though it sounds very low, like 1 in 1,000 may have some complication. Like it may be a small complication, hematoma that resolves in 1 week time, but still why to do that? The indication, hard indications are symptoms. Symptoms are the main thing. Patient developing chest pain on walking, climbing stairs, recent onset, or undue breathless. All right, before last 3 months, I'm noticing I can't even climb 1 flight of stairs. I'm having choking sensation, breathless, background of diabetes, obesity. Then probably you can stress them and see a treadmill and see if they can walk. Main indication is symptom. Mainly it's based on the symptoms.
So the other question by ECG to come in, then that's the
course. If that depends on individual patient. The patient is symptomatic, then definitely yes, an ECG, then echocardiogram, and a stress testing. A treadmill stress testing is the simplest thing what you can do in most of the places. It will reflect light into the underlying problem. And it's quite sensitive also. 70% of them will have a positive test if they have a block.
Doctor, there are a lot of things basically get changed in terms of the standards of whatever just you mentioned about the sugar level, the blood sugar level, etc., cholesterol for that matter.
True.
American institution keeps on lowering the limit.
Yes.
But how far it is it the country specific or we just blindly accept whatever is there?
That's a wonderful question. Unfortunately, India, we don't do research. Research doesn't have value here or money here. So we are busy practicing. We are not doing scientific research because of our own setbacks here. But largely okay. But yeah, Indians set of data to formulate guidelines, we still lack. So we blindly follow the Western world, which may be a wonderful question actually. This always comes in our mind. But India, we more follow the European guidelines somehow. More than the American guidelines. At least the BP wise, the European guidelines is still 140/90. They have not gone to that 120 level. But still, definitely there is a geographic variation. In fact, we should be more aggressive. If you ask me, I think we should be more aggressive. The Indian arteries are supposed to be smaller than the Westerners artery. So if you take a cut section of the coronary artery, then the arteries are of bigger size in Americans and the Western world than India. So India is always, we should be even more aggressive, I would say.
The other question I have is about the different oils people, different companies recommend. This could be a marketing gimmicks, but knowing that different regions in India use different types of oils, and over the ages they have not, I don't know whether it was data wasn't there or we didn't know about it. But the fact that in Kerala it's used coconut oil, in Maharashtra they use groundnut oil as a base of everything.
True.
So, and then one says that you should not use those oils and use something else. How much scientific data has gone into this?
Basically, there is no strong support for use of any particular variety of oil, be it olive oil, rice bran. They're all like market-driven thing. But in general, use any oil that is okay for you. As you said, mustard oil is used in West Bengal, and coconut oil is used in Kerala commonly. The problem is not with the oil, problem is the reheating oil again and again. That makes it more rancid and accumulate more trans fat, which is more dangerous than the oil per se. So restrict your oil, don't reuse the oil. That is my suggestion, but not bother about what kind of oil you are using. Okay with groundnut oil, coconut oil, as long as you know how much you are consuming and not reheating it again and pouring and then use the same oil for dosa. That may be more harmful than any oil you use.
Yeah, now I think this will request to extend the meeting by another max 5 minutes. I think question, Susan has something.
Yeah, two.
Yes, Susan, go ahead.
There are two questions from our online audience. I'll ask both of them together. So one question is, what is the right stage in which you would recommend a heart scan? And second is there something called too much exercise?
Wonderful. So there is absolutely no recommendation for any heart scan, unless maybe if you one of those slides was showing some recommendations for diabetes screening, but personally I would suggest if you have a family history of heart disease, premature heart disease, or any other heart disease, for example, cardiomyopathies, then maybe once in 3 years you can get a heart checkup done. If the doctor feels that you need to go for a scan, you can go for a scan. Heart scan most of the time, just 5 minutes before a heart attack develops, the heart scan will be absolutely normal. Only after the problem comes, then the heart pumping goes down, all those vicious cycle sets in. But heart scan alone is not widely recommended routinely for people to rule out or rule in something. So heart scan is not a big deal at all. Most of the times it is not recommended, not used at all. Exercise, too much of exercise is not bad, but I think if you're going for, if you're a person who are planning to do some marathon and all, it's better to get a heart checkup prior to your aggressive kind of physical activity. Routine physical activity, we ask our heart attack patients to start walking at 3 weeks time. So heart patients can walk very well. So heart failure patients, we recommend them to walk. So it's all good. But too much of exercise in the form of very aggressive kind of, you're a very aggressive person, better to check everything is all right and then go for it. We have seen a lot of incidences like happening in the gym during aggressive work. So still can happen in spite of screening, but better to get an evaluation before going for any competitive aggressive workouts.
Thank you very much. Okay.
What is your opinion on ghee, butter, and rice? I don't eat the party. I can't eat ghee. People tell me that rice is not.
No, not that way. There is no villain in food, so you can eat. So rice, wheat, ragi, jowar, all the same only, but one thing, all are carbohydrates. See, basically they contain carbohydrates predominantly, some amount of protein. So basically the glycemic index varies. If you use a polished rice, then the glycemic index will be very high. If you use unpolished rice, the glycemic index will be low. So eat foods with low glycemic index. Try to avoid simple sugars. A piece of gulab jamun is a simple sugar. It's a complex sugar. Idli contains both rice as well as dal in it. So it's carbohydrate mixed with protein, so it makes it more healthier. That's it. So avoiding rice, I don't recommend completely. It's maybe restrict the quantity, use more unpolished rice. Ghee and butter, it's not that good. Restrict the quantity. 30-40% of my own patients are from Marwadi patients. So Marwadi, I don't know if Marwadi is anybody there. So they generally consume more. It's not against okay. So their food is predominantly ghee and sugar. So it's more of carbohydrates and ghee. So patients commonly say, and I have attended functions, their functions where they float the dosa in ghee. I have so much of oil. No, sir, this is not oil, this is ghee, they said. Pure ghee, they said. So a family uses easily 10 kgs per month ghee. So that much is not good. Restrict the quantity. The recommendation is less than 7% of your energy should come from saturated fat. Butter contains more saturated. But
last question. They say smoking is injurious to health, alcohol is but why sweets? They don't say anything in India.
Sweets are injurious.
But people,
sweets can be injurious for us, but not for kids. So there is no branding.
See outside some sweet shops.
Yeah,
bakeries and all that nowadays.
It's better to avoid sweets. Sweets are dangerous.
Long term, which has had an effect, which okay, this is a very new thing, as it also had an effect on
Honestly, I don't know the long-term effects of COVID on the heart, but on the lung, it had a major impact. Heart is a kind of hit and miss game. Heart, if it gets affected, it shows up and then either it goes away or it takes you away. But lungs, it damages and goes. So lung damage patients requiring long-term oxygen support, and people ultimately going in for obstructive lung disease, developing kind of ventilator dependency or non-invasive ventilator dependent people are there. But fortunately, in heart, we didn't have any long-term effects. Short-term, we had a lot of thrombus-related heart attacks. Everyone would have heard about strokes and high so-called celebrities passing away. So all those things happened. But vascular thrombus was very well documented, both with COVID as well as with the vaccine. So, but long-term effects of COVID in heart was not much.
Thank you very much, sir. Please.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Can I call upon Suman for the family vote of thanks?
Thank you, Dr. Ashok. You are an expert in this subject. For us, this is complex, full of numbers. But you explained it in a very simple way. I mean, more than simple, it was very visual. You know, when you explained the good arteries, the bad arteries, when you took us through that, those yellow, white tissue cholesterol and BMI graphs. So I thought it was visually very simple. Some of the stayed, especially the carrying messages that you had for us. And you answered all, I mean, I don't think we ever stayed back beyond 8:30 to, answer the questions, which you did in a very soft-spoken manner. You answered all our questions. So in a nutshell, you touched our hearts. You spurged our hearts. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone here. So we had a good number. And also to those on Zoom, thank you very much. Thank you all.